this magic moment. So different and so new, was like any other, until I kissed you.
We both ended up in a tiny church. You went to a different junior high. I moved as I was starting junior high.
In high school, we were having a revival one week,
Right.
and I'm there, and I don't know why, I just had gotten a friend to paint a 54 Ford that I had, and you came out and were looking at it, and I sort of got the feeling that you might like me a little bit. We had a couple of dates. We played
A
miniature
couple of
golf,
dates, yes.
went to a movie, and
but-
then I called after that.
Yes.
You always were busy. Were you really always busy, or
No,
did you
I
not want?
wasn't always busy.
In college, I'm in junior college in Big Spring. You're going to Hardin-Simmons University, and you're home in Big Spring. You come to the church, and you're playing the organ that Sunday.
And you walked up after church and said, "Do you want to go get a Coke?" And I was like, okay. You know,
We ended up getting a Coke.
we didn't get a Coke that day. You had to call and say they had called you to work. I think I said I'd be home the next weekend.
And we end up then a week later, I guess, going out and getting a Coke or something. Kind of hit it off a little bit, and I asked you if I can come over to Abilene sometime, and
Right.
you say yeah. So I go over one weekend. You recommend the Colonial Inn, which is where the motel I stayed at.
Just you, not me.
This
And-
was the 60s.
Yeah, it was the 60s.
We were
And,
Baptists.
You would spend the night. We would go to church the next morning at the church that I belonged to. Do all kinds of things on Saturday afternoon and eat out every weekend. And you would come. And then on Thursdays you would call. And this was before cell phones and all that kind of stuff.
I would call it was usually about $5.50, between $5 and $6. We'd talk 30 minutes. And my dad told me that's a lot of money. You'll be sorry you don't have that money someday.
Okay, you glad you spent $5?
I came over for your graduation. Bunch of your relatives there, your mom, dad, yada yada.
The aunts and uncles and everybody came back here, left Abilene, came back to go home. I was swimming with you in the swimming pool, and I don't know, we were cutting up, doing whatever. But you said, "What do you want me to do? Take you to race?" And I said, "Yeah." And that's kind of how you proposed.
And I said, I remember, and I went, really?
And then it happened.
What are you laughing
It
at?
took me by surprise. I knew that you felt it too, by the look in your eyes.
I know my parents kind of worried about us at first being engaged. I remember going and talking to my dad about
Oh
it.
yes.
Oh, yes.
He's out in the backyard working,
He's
working like
in
he
his
always.
workshop.
He's working
in
or
his
sanding or doing something.
Yes. And I went in and told him
I'm
that
with you.
we wanted to get married. And
He never looks up. He's just
no,
working.
he just
I guess it's
Okay.
okay. It's all I
That's
ever wanted you to
fine.
do was graduate from college.
So we planned our wedding and we got married in August.
It worked out pretty good because you were a year ahead of me in high school anyway, and
Right.
then you graduated college in 3
3
years.
years.
We get married, and you're able to
We
work
moved to-
full time.
And I did get a job at a church. I had been working in a church in Abilene, so I got a degree in secretarial science is what they had
And
it
religious
called.
education.
And religious education. I kept the books and I did the newsletter and the bulletin, all the things. And you started as a
Technical director, the guy who punches
director.
the button, switches video and audio, one-man show at KLBK TV. We left, we resigned our positions, and when I graduated, we went looking for a job.
we get in the car and you think you want to get a job in Colorado. So we drive to Colorado, went to Colorado Springs, Denver,
Nobody wanted me.
and you start talking to a man that you had worked with.
He was the station manager in Big Spring and was now station manager at KELP, which is now KVIA in El Paso.
Right.
I call up Bob, talk to him. He says, "Come on down. There's an opening in the news department." Did I multitask in that news department? I was co-anchoring at
Co-anchor.
night, and I was the weatherman at 10 o'clock. You went out and covered stories. You shot your own film with these silent film cameras. And then the radio station, you also recorded the interview on audio and sent back a report for the radio station.
I started working at First Baptist. They had a big 11 by 14, 4-page newsletter that went out every week, and I was in charge of that. And then I worked for the education director some, and then we had a ministry director.
A guy who worked at the TV station in El Paso is working in Oklahoma City, and they have an opening for what's called an assignment editor. And I get called, and we end up accepting that job in 1974.
And I, again, got a job this time, still related with Baptist, but it was the Baptist Retirement Center.
And we decide we're ready to, it's okay for you to get pregnant.
Really had no problems with the pregnancy. Rhonda was due in June. And we got to the hospital, and it was really about 10:30. They took me in and checked me and said, "Oh, it's going to be a while, you haven't dilated very long or whatever." And a couple hours later, we had Rhonda about
Real quick.
1:15. But we were thrilled to have our baby, yes.
In 1979, you're pregnant again, and we end up, one day, you're at the doctor. It's full-term baby at this point. You're at the doctor and talking about how the movement has slowed down, and you have a substitute doctor. Other one's out of town. Says, "Don't worry too much about it." Next morning, we go to the hospital.
They hooked me up to monitors and couldn't get the heartbeat, and so they knew immediately something was wrong. That was, I guess, the really first encounter that we hadn't even really thought about or anticipated or anything. We didn't know anything was going to be wrong or thought anything was wrong. So that was very difficult. I had not worked when Rhonda was a baby for about 2.5 months, and then I'd gone back to work at Like and Manor. So I had quit work at Like and Manor right before Jason was going to be born. And so I didn't have a job at that time, and Jack then...
I actually had started anchoring in the evenings. That's when Tom Kirby came. I was anchoring at night.
And then we had Natalie in 81.
You got involved in PTA and all the way through their schooling, because you were not only local PTA, but got involved, got to be an officer in state PTA. Our kids always felt like school was an extension of home. You've always been, my opinion, a glass half full person. It's at least half full. Everything's great, everything's wonderful. Even if everything's going down in flames, there's a way out, everything's going great. I've always been the glass half empty person.
Well, television, I guess,
did
that a lot, because the stations are very competitive.
You know what really did it for me? When we got ready to move here to Fort Worth, and I had this jillions of tapes and stuff, and you said, we got to get this condensed down. I mean, we had so much stuff. So literally nonstop for a few days, I had all of these recorders running. I would see these things.
All right, Linda. Man.
All the places we'd been, all the things kids had done, all the VIPs we'd been around. It was like the movie It's a Wonderful Life, and I went, our glass runneth over. It's more than full. Of course, the girls went on to college and have achieved. Rhonda with a very large counseling practice with a great reputation in Fort Worth. Natalie working at Gladney.
And a great reputation for writing and all the things she does.
You are the glue that's held this family together.
We balance each other.
I'm glad we've been together.
Me too.
Sweeter than a wine, softer than a summer's night. Everything I wanna have whenever I hold you tight.
This magic moment, our song 1969.
That's right.
Well, I'll be your rainy day lover, Whenever the sunny days end, and whatever the weather, we have each other, and that's how the story will end. I'm gonna love you forever, I do. I'm gonna spend all of my days with you. We'll carry your burdens and be the wind that shall by. I'm gonna spend my forever, forever like that.